Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. And check out that eye, that's exactly what we want to see. Woo, look at that panel, baby. And that, as they say, is that. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. Join me today for your advanced look at the latest Conan Omnibus from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures, and that is the Savage Sword of Conan, the original Comics Omnibus Volume 10. We are finally here at the double digits, so let's go ahead and get started. By crumb, we have arrived at the double digits. Big thank you to Heroic Signatures and Titan Comics for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on October 21st or 22nd, depending on where you get your books. And again, I stress the fact that distribution has been a nightmare. Some people may already have this. Some people may be waiting until after October 21st, but the date that we have from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures is October 21st. So what we are looking at here is the standard edition cover. On the left-hand side, just like they've done from the beginning, is the direct market cover. So there are two covers that are available. And of course, the direct market cover is only available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, and bdcosmos.com, as well as forbiddenplanet.com and readcomics.com, Dime Breed Collectors, Organic Price Books, Tales of Wonder, Comics Bugle, and in-stock trades, and of course your local comic book store. Everything underneath the dust jacket is the same, so let's take a closer look at this. We have a Joe Jusko cover here, Savage Sword of Conan, Chuck Dixon, Don Krar, Gary Quapis, Ernie Chan, John Severin. Some big names, and some names that you have seen in the pages of Conan before. But this is primarily what I like to call the Chuck Dixon and Gary Quapis and Ernie Chan era. But here we have the Savage Sword of Conan, the original Comics Omnibus, Volume 10, again, those names, and then that piece right there of the Cimmerian. And then the back of the book, Conan Avenges, featuring fully painted color covers and extra-length adventures, uninhibited by the Comics Code Authority. That's right, Comics Code out the door, because these were magazines. This is Conan at his most savage. Heroic Signatures logo, Titan Comics logo, what's collected in the book, and then the ISBN. Retail price of this one is $125. Let's go ahead and put this sucker on the shelf. Welcome home, Savage Sword of Conan Volume 10. And going right up there next to Volume 9 and all the other Savage Sword of Conans. We still got a little bit to go. I want to say, when I interviewed the folks at Titan Comics, as a matter of fact, they are coming back on October 14th to talk about Conan and other projects. And that video will go up live at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, if you want to join me that. I'm going to be interviewing pretty much the editors of Conan the Barbarian and the collected edition. So if you have questions, that video will be live, and come in with questions. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, we got like 21 volumes is what they've got it up to. Or no, it was 19. They have 19 volumes of this plan, so we got about 9 more. Underneath the dust jacket is the flaps right here. Conan the Revenger, and a little bio on the creators right here. From Chuck Dixon all the way down to Joe Jusko. Even some early Andy Kubert artwork in here. And underneath the dust jacket, looking very similar to the way that the books always do. Heroic Signatures, Titan Comics, and then that logo right there. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this book open and talk about the stories found in here and look at this beautiful artwork and look at the extras in the build. Okay, let's go ahead and get this omnibus opened. Just like all the other Titan and Heroic Signature Omnis, we do have end sheets right there. And the original Comics Omnibus Volume 10. And the folks behind Heroic Signatures, Titan Comics, the special thanks down here to people like Corey Settlemeyer and Jeff Youngquist. And other people, some, of course, at Marvel, because these are were originally published at Marvel Comics, Savage Sword of Conan Volume 10, what it collects, and then, of course, the writers, which is mainly Chuck Dixon, but Don Crowder does come back for issue 143, as well as the Conan the Reaver. Larry Yakata doing issue 136. The penciler and layouts are Gary Quapis and John Severin, and Tom Greinberg doing some early stuff in here with issue 144. Inkers and finishers like Ernie Chan and Armando Gil and John Severin. And then your illustrators. That's pretty much the people that do everything, whether it's the pencil and ink or whether it's just straight up inks. And that is Joe Jusko right here, Andy Kubert, Del Eaglesham, some early work. Armando Gil killing it with these pinups that he did. Val Mayerick, Jeff Isherwood, and Barry Windsor-Smith doing the covers and some of the stuff in here for the Conan saga. Lettering over here by Diana Albers and Janice Chang, Rick Parker, just to name a few of your letters. And then you have Marie Severin doing the colors for Conan the Reaver. So this is your table of contents. Collected in here, it's the Del Eaglesham picture right there, is Conan, or rather Savage Sword of Conan, issues 133 to 145. And the Marvel graphic novel number 28, Conan the Reaver. We have an introduction here by none other than Ron Marsh. Again, retails for $125. Ron Marsh talking about how he was in love with comics when he was a kid, superhero comics, and then, like a lot of us, he stopped reading them because he thought comics were for kids. One exception was the Savage Sword of Conan magazine, because it was black and white. There was no Comics Code Authority. There were boobies and violence in there, so that was his kind of exception. And then he talks about how it comes full circle now that he's writing some of the latest issues of Savage Sword of Conan. I love that. I love when it comes full circle. And he talks about how I absolutely love this ending. Things come full circle if you're lucky, and I've been very lucky. Without Conan and without Savage Sword, do I have this career, this life? Maybe, but I doubt it. That's beautiful. It is a beautiful introduction. Big fan of Ron Marsh. He doesn't have any work in here, but you can check out his Savage Sword in the new Titan Heroic Signature series. So the covers are fully intact in here in color, and then of course this is primarily a black and white magazine, and letter pages are all intact here. The only thing that's really truly missing from here is the backup stories, like the Cole backup story. And stories like that don't feature Conan the Barbarian. And one of the things that I immediately noticed, there's a lot of double page spreads through here, by the way, and lots of Gary Quapis artwork with Ernie Chan doing the inks and embellishes. And to me, I think that just this era is primarily that Charles Dixon, as he calls himself, and or as they give him credit for, and Gary Quapis era. There's a lot of that. But one thing I noticed in this particular Savage Sword of Conan collection, more so than any of the other ones, because it's beautiful Armando Gil pinups here, is that it seems like it's one continuing story. And Chuck Dixon, again, credited as Charles Dixon through here, seems to be doing that a lot different than Roy Thomas, which did a lot of standalone stories, or even before Chuck came on board, it was Don, and it seems like here we just have a continuing story. We have a lot of supporting characters that appear through here, like this is a story of Lady Eliana and Kronar, and those characters are making their first appearance here. And this is Conan just accepting this bodyguard assignment to protect this Aquilonian lady, but then he ends up getting tricked into going into this castle at nighttime, and then Conan and this lady get really close and really acquainted as they're being trapped. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of the stories. I sometimes highlight some of the stories through here, but mainly focusing on this type of artwork, and my gosh, the art is stunning. And I'll be honest with you, people, whenever I announced Omnis, even when Marvel was doing this stuff, people would tell me, warn me ahead of time, it's just, this is early Andy Kubert artwork, by the way, pencils and inks. If you look and see how close to his father he was when it comes to the layouts and some of the facial features. They would warn me, like, hey, after Roy Thomas leaves, man, that J.M. DeMatteis run, Michael Fleischer, that stuff is awful. I don't know what it is. I think it's just Conan. I think the guy just kind of writes himself. Yes, they're different. It's a lot different than Roy Thomas. But I enjoy these adventures. There's a lot of repetitiveness in this one, like with a lot of the pirates. But I didn't mind, honestly. I was looking forward to reading this because I had never read this era of Conan before. And this is my first time reading it. As a matter of fact, it hasn't been collected. This wasn't collected by Marvel Comics. I want to say there was a Dark Horse collection when they were doing their big, thick trade paperbacks. But I'm not 100% sure if they made it this far or not. I never got those. I just started getting them in omnibus format. So to me, I love this cover, by the way, from issue 137. It's just him with his sword. Yeah. So freaking awesome. And look at that. The pinups are great too. Like some great pinups. This is the story with the Picts right here, where he ends up teaming up with some of the Picts, which of course, you know, are primarily being used right now in Jim Zub's run of Conan the Barbarian. But yes, even if I haven't read it, even if people are like, oh man, you're gonna hate it, I don't hate it. I really like Conan, and I think it just says a lot about the character. You know, there are better stories than others, but I really haven't read a dull Conan comic. There are some that are repetitive, especially when I was it the Christopher? No, it was the J.M. DeMatteis era. Some of the stories got a little bit repetitive, but I still had a lot of fun with them, and it could be because I'm exploring this for the first time. While there are people that are saying that it's bad or bland, have already gone through this. So to me, this is experiencing something new. And yes, there is more nudity in this, and not as much as the other volumes, believe it or not, and a lot more violence. Plus, you get a lot more body horror through here. Some, like, plant creatures in here that are just freaking creepy. And I'm not sure how anybody else feels about it. Yes, we're back on a pirate ship. But, you know, he's no stranger to that because of Beylit when he was hanging out with them. Yeah, these are the plant creatures that just look freaking creepy. By the way, lots of fan service for everybody, too. Let me show you some of these pinups right here by Dale Eaglesham. So this is some early Dale Eaglesham work, and it's awesome. I really like that style that he had through here. There is a character that comes back, and she is found in one of the latest, or last few stories that's collected in here. And that is... Here, let's actually get to her. Wow, that is an awesome page right there. Here's the Don Krar story with Val Mayerick, and Don Krar will be the writer on that graphic novel. Val Mayerick's art looking a little different here, and that's mainly due to the inks that he supplies for himself. So it's not like Ernie Chan is embellishing it. So it's looking a little bit different. But what, oh yeah, I was gonna go and see, and again the pinups right here, including that lady right there. So in this issue, look at that cover, man. That is Conan. In this issue, we have the return of a certain redhead. Although you can't see her, the color of her hair. This is the one that has finishes by Ernie Chan. But yes, Red Sonja makes a return through here. So they can print the stories that feature her as long as they're featured in Conan. Not sure. I'm pretty sure they can show her on covers too, as long as it's a Conan comic, not like a Marvel Premiere or one of the crossover books. And then you have pinups again. Now, what's interesting to me, as I mentioned earlier on, is that after the Red Sonja team up, Conan ends up traveling to Lithuania in here, and he ends up running into a cult. And the cult is kind of heading towards the stag god. But every one of these adventures does seem like it leads into the next. And it's a weird and interesting take on the character, because that's something I'm not used to with Conan. It seems like in the past we've had so many standalone stories. This features a big continuous thread where we, even in the previous volume, where we had him become a gladiator and then becoming the Empress's favorite, becoming a general, and then of course the escort to the pirates, and eventually over here with a bunch of slavers too. So it's a lot different than what stories we've seen before, and I think Chuck Dixon stays on the book for a few more years. And then, yes, after issue 145, we have the Marvel graphic novel Conan the Barbarian, the Reaver. So this is by Don Kraher and John Severin, with Marie Severin supplying the colors. And this is the 28th Marvel graphic novel, of course, kicked off with the death of Captain Marvel. It is fully in color. And it takes place in Conan's past. Now, one thing I noticed in this book, or in the story, are the artifacts right here, like whenever the scans went through. So there's a little bit of artifacts going on right there. Not sure if you can see with this color, which is usually found, like we've seen in Marvel Omnis, we've seen in DC Omnis, and that has to do with the restoration. But there's just a few of it, especially with the skin tone they're using for the young Conan. So this is Conan ending up joining the Thieves Guild in the Turanian capital, and he ends up helping them get information out of these city guards, and pretty much Conan ending up getting a deal to get these keys to the great treasure room under the castle. That's what this is. So it's a young Conan adventure. But I love the fact that it's collected in here. Again, the Marvel graphic novels had the, I guess, the lack of a comics code. And then we have the Conan Saga, which is beautifully drawn by Barry Windsor Smith, where we have the covers, and then we have the cover line art, like this, and the colors, and then the final cover. And these were just reprints of stories from Marvel Comics, and they reprinted the actual covers here in the back. The covers are all supplied by Barry Windsor Smith, who kicked off the Conan saga to begin with Roy Thomas. Just love how different this looks with the finished colors. Man, absolutely stunning. I don't think he ever came back to do any internal stuff in the 90s, because, I mean, the series did go up into the 90s. And then we have the back of the book here. 896 pages. Let's look at the binding. So we do have sewn binding. Again, 896 pages. Printed in this glossy paper stock. There is a little bit of bleed through happening. And you'll notice it more because you have black and white art. So you'll see some of that black inks coming through. But we've seen it in the original Marvel Omnis as well. And lots, and I mean lots of double page spreads through here. Just about every single one of these magazines had a double page spread. And I know what's going to happen as I'm flipping through here. I'm not going to find a single one. Okay, found one. Good. So it's got very minimal gutter loss happening right there. But yeah, you saw that eye. It's big. And printed in glossy paper stock. But this is Savage Sword of Conan, Volume 10, the original comics. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $250 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
And that was the content, the page count, and build of this Omni. In the comments down below, let me know if you are picking the series up in an omnibus format, if you're hoping one day they'll bring it out in some kind of thick trade paperback, or what other era of Conan would you like to see collected in this big format. The Dark Horse era, the rest of the Marvel era. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Check us out on Patreon and Spreadshop, amazing ways to support the channel. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.